Hey guys, it's Josh from Smoke Anywhere for Pennies, and today I'm coming at you with the Steam Turbine Rebuildable Atomizer. Alright, so what is a Steam Turbine Rebuildable Atomizer? This is a Genesis atomizer. Genesis meaning stainless steel wick, and it's wicked from the top like this. But the only difference between this and most other Genesis, Genesi, whatever you want to say, is that it actually is a dual coil, so it can produce practically twice the smoke. Now this Addy does have a few good features to it. One, it's pretty appealing. I mean, whenever you put the cap on, it looks pretty good. If you are a person that does not like all this right here, then you can simply remove the outer shell, put the cap back on, and you'll simply just have glass like a normal Genesis atomizer. Alright, so for the sake of this video, I'm going to put this back on just because I personally kind of like it. And it actually does help protect the glass if you do drop it. A lot of Genesis glass, I've had a ton of glass break on me, such as this is an iHybrid Celtic right here, and as you can see, I broke the glass in this just from simply dropping it on carpet. So I would recommend actually keeping the shield on or around the steam turbine just to keep it safe. Alright, so what am I going to do with the steam turbine? Well, first, to rebuild it, or build it in general, I'm going to put 2 pieces of pre-oxidized stainless steel mesh, and these have already been oxidized. Alright, put one in that hole and one in that hole. As you can see on the other side, there's a hole on the side by itself. That's the hole where your liquid's actually going to go in, where you take your liquid out. But these are the 2 holes that, if you are dual coiling, these are the 2 holes where you want to put both your wicks. Now, as far as wire goes, it might be kind of hard to see. I'm actually going to use about 6 inches of it. I like to have a lot of room just to give myself room for air. I feel like the more wire you actually use, the easier it is to actually grasp everything. So I'm using about 6 to 8 inches of 32 gauge Kanthal wire. I mean, you can use 30 gauge, 34 gauge, 32, 24, it really doesn't matter. But in this instance, to keep my resistance high, I'm actually going to use a somewhat thin 30 gauge. Alright, so I got my wire cut out. Now what I'm going to do is actually unscrew all these screws a little bit. Don't take them out. Unscrew them just enough to get the wire up under there, trap it, and where you can screw it back down without a hassle. So what I'm going to do from here after these are unscrewed is basically, I'll try to show you before I actually do it. I'm going to take my wire and put it under this, which is just like this little screw right here. I'm going to wrap it around this wick, this one right here, a few times, like about 3 or 4 times, and then you'll see right here in the middle, there's actually 2 washers. If I can pull them apart, yeah, you can see them now. There's actually 2 washers, and you're going to want to trap the wire under there, right where my tweezers are. And then once both wires are trapped under there, you're just going to screw that down, and you'll be good to go. So let's get started on this. Alright, so first off, I'm going to take my wire, and I'm not going to, I don't know how to put this. I'm going to give it a little bit of a bend, but I'm not going to bend it enough to make it permanent where I can't bend it back out. So I got that little bend under there, and the reason being for that is just so that I can trap it under this little screw right here. So I'm going to trap it under that screw and then pull it like this. And then I'm going to screw my screw right back down. Alright, now you see, I do have a good bit of wire, as you can see right there. But I did put the shorter end of it coming out the side like that. That's because this right here is the side that's going to be going around the wick, and this side you're eventually just going to cut off. Alright, so from here I'm actually going to wrap it around this wick let's go for about 4 wraps right here, and then trap it under that little washer I was just talking about. Alright, so I go for kind of like an up and over type deal. There's 1 wrap. There's 2 wraps. Alright, I'm actually going to go for 3 wraps. I don't know why I said 4. I really like the 3 wrap coils a lot. Alright, and keep in mind that this doesn't have to be perfect as soon as you get the wire on there. It can be a little bit messed up and uneven, but you're ultimately just going to do most of your adjusting after you get both coils set up. So I got that trapped under that washer. I got trapped in between the 2, and I just tighten that screw down. Right, so I'm going to take my tweezers. I'm actually going to just give this a little tug and pull. And you just want to do this until it looks even. Now I got this adjusted. What I'm going to do now is I test, before I put the other coil on, I like to test the first one. So right now I'm using a mechanical mod, I'm using a Meraxis. But to test it, what you're going to want to do is actually, when you're first doing it, is kind of pulse it like this. Because if you just stomp on it, and you see, generally it'll be this part of the wire or this part of the wire. They will be the only parts to light up. They'll get really, really red, and then they'll just poof off. And usually when that happens, it means that the lead basically burned itself out. So when you're pulsing it, instead of just heating up completely, it'll give you an idea of what kind of adjusting to do. So I'm going to start pulsing this and see what kind of results we get. Alright. Okay, now I'm slowly gonna increase the length of time that I'm holding this button down. And dominantly, you want the glow to dominantly be coming from the middle, just like you see right there. That is the glow that you're looking for, is for it coming from the middle. If it's coming from the top or from the bottom, you're generally gonna burn a lead if you stomp on it really hard. What you're gonna do from here is basically the same thing that I just did on the other side. It does get a little bit tricky whenever you get to this top piece right here and you're trying to put your wire in there, and there's already another wire in there. But the trick to that is actually gonna be, whenever you do get to that point, you're gonna want to hold this wire on the top, unscrew this, and then while you're holding this wire, you want to feed the other wire back through. I'll show you whenever we get to that point. Alright, so here's what I'm talking about. I've got my 4 coils on this one, and it's not yet put in the middle. But this one, I don't want to lose the connection from here, because that's a good coil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hold this. Hold the one that's already connected and screwed in place, and then grab your other one. Now I'm gonna unscrew this, and then just stick this guy right in the middle. I'll make sure these are nice and tight. Just pull both the leads down, and then screw back in. Alright, so my final product, as you can see, this coil is a little bit bent, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. I used to take them back out and redo them and everything, but then I realized, honestly, it'll burn about the same if it is burnt, excuse me, bent. Alright, so I'm going to pulse this second, actually, rather, both of these coils, and see how they're lighting up. Alright, and that looks good. As you can see, the one on the left's a little bit more powerful, but as long as you got a good glow coming from the middle on both sides, you're doing pretty good for yourself. Alright, so from here, I'm actually going to use my handy dandy cutters right here, and I'm going to cut all these wires off. You'll see a lot of people will take them and twist them and this and that, but honestly, I just like to cut them to be safe. I mean, you can pull it, because if you're twisting it, you can pull too hard and then pull the entire coil through and then just have to restart the entire thing. So I'm gonna cut these out the middle. Alright, and then cut these off both sides. Alright, after that, grab my scissors. Alright, I got these little scissors at CVS, and I'm just going to take it and cut these stainless steel wicks to the same height that this center post is. Just take them, and there you go. Okay, so now here is your final step. What I'm going to do is pop this little bottle of liquid open, and you do need a syringe for this. Right now I'm using a 3 milliliter syringe. You can use a 10. I mean, it really doesn't matter. And I'm using this is 100% VG liquid. This is from Smoke Anywhere for Pennies. It's Pennies Girl Vanilla, which is my favorite flavor if y'all don't already know. And I'm gonna take the liquid from here, suck it up into the syringe, and I'm gonna just put it in this little hole. Now I'm gonna fill this up to about the top of this little thing right here, because once you fill it all the way up, it tends to flood a lot easier. Right, so I got about 1.5 milliliters of liquid. I like to underfill a little bit rather than overfill to start out with, and then you'll find your median and really find out what you like. So I put the syringe in here. Go ahead and start filling her up. I got filled up about halfway. Okay, so to make sure that this is working properly with all the liquid and everything in there, you're going to want to hold it to the side where the coils are on the bottom, tilt it up a little bit, and you should no longer see a glow whenever you hit the button. Instead, you should see some good vapor. Now, if you see that, you're good to start vaping, as long as you don't see any red in the coils. Anything red will give you a burnt hit, so be careful. I'm Josh Ward. Thanks for watching.